I think we can start. Let's do a quick round of introductions. I was about to say I'm your host, but I'm not longer your host. Was supposed to be your host, called the Connected Network. And super thrilled to have you all here, guys. Super amazing projects. Everclear and Inception. We're going to touch some
Absolutely.
exciting topics today, very spicy topics, very futuristic looking topics. But please do your honor and introduce yourself. Inception, you go first.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I think that we are already doing this. This is a second space with Nectar already, and I just came from another space with another lending protocol before this one. So I've been around Twitter spaces like the whole time now, which is pretty nice. Pretty nice. I'm very excited about bringing Inception. So Inception is a full omni-chain LRT project, currently the most complete and complex LRT in the market with 12 LSTs staking plus native staking on ETH. And right now will also be available native staking on BTC via Babylon and Pell network. We are currently also finalizing our integration with Symbiotic. And also lately, we also started the conversations, very positive conversations with Karak, so that is on the horizon too. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We also use DVT and technology, use flash and stake, so anyone can unstake in a matter of seconds instead of waiting 7 days and bound period. So yeah, very excited about bringing all this good technology to the user and making sure that the user is always happy and they have a very transparent experience in the LRT space.
Awesome. Thank you very much, y'all. Max, please.
Hey, GM everyone. This is Max. I'm the ecosystem lead at Everclear. We were previously called Connext, so you might know us as the Connext bridge. We basically operated as a Connext, an intent-based bridge for several years. We have done, we broke records in terms of monthly volumes. We more than 1.5 billions. We reached 1.5 billions in TVL. But we recently announced our upgrade and consequently rebrand into Everclear. Everclear is going to be the first clearing layer, which means that we'll be actually be the backbone of liquidity for other intent-based bridges, as our new platform will help to coordinate the settlement of liquidity between chains, which has a lot of consequences, but we hope that it will really enable a chain abstracted experience where the user doesn't need to know where the app that is interacting with is deployed compared to where they hold funds, and consequently provide a very smooth experience for all the Web3 users.
Awesome. Thank you, Max. Thank you so much, guys, for the presentations. It's kind of funny because even though we haven't interacted with each other too much, all three of our projects have incredible synergies. As far as I know, Inception using the XDRC 20 standard makes automatically a big winner for Everclear. Also, the potential LRTs that are going to also build on Nectar, which are also very interested in building XDRC 20s. So this space is all about modular and modularity. And I do believe that this kind of technology can get more modular than that. Having these kind of products that can tap in pretty much anything out there, it just can't get more modular than that. So very awesome. Looking like a fresh start. We'll be addressing some key questions and challenges today that the industry is facing. The end goal of blockchain, in my opinion, will be scalability, security, and friendly UX for everybody. So let's kickstart the space, and I would like to make the first question about data availability layers. This is where we go for Inception. Data availability layers is the premise behind EigenDA, for example, which is the first Eigenlayer AVS. Can you please explain to us what an AVS is? What are the advantages of building something as an AVS instead of bootstrapping your own network?
Yeah, absolutely. So AVS is a concept that was really brought to life pretty much with Eigenlayer, and is in a sense so it means actively a validated service, which is kind of a validator that is always rechecking and always active. So this can be many things such as side chains, data availability layers, oracles, and any cryptographic schemes or trusted execution environments in this space. So pretty much what we are seeing now with all these AVSs and like, oh, we are looking at the AVS rewards and everything. And I want to bring that also to the discussion, which is Eigenlayer is now doing their one of their final upgrades. I think that they will also have another upgrade later down the road this year, which will be the final one. But this is almost the final one. So they now are making available the AVS rewards, which is something that everyone is waiting for. I think down the line they will also put available the slashing mechanisms. I don't think that will be available slashing now, but down the road in a few months it will also be available the slashing mechanisms. But yeah, so pretty much what we are expecting is that when you are validating, you are actually getting rewards, right? That's why we are on Eigenlayer. So for example, on native Ethereum, when you are restaking native ETH, first you go on the beacon chain, you get the validation, then the rewards there, and then you go on Eigen to get the second layer of rewards with the AVSs. So, and finally, this is happening to the space. So I guess this is a great news for everyone that is waiting and asking like, wait, when AVS rewards, when AVS rewards? Finally, we can now validate and get the rewards on Eigen. So I guess this is very, very exciting. Of course, this also brings a lot of challenges, which is which are the AVSs that are now available, what are the AVS strategies, and this is something that I think that will be discussed in spaces like this for the months to come, you know, because you have strategies like you just cherry pick your AVSs, you have strategies that you choose your node operator, and then the node operator can have a database of AVSs, or even now you can have big funds such as like RE7 Capital or MEV that are functioning as node curator or AVS curator, that they have multiple node operators with different AVS strategies. So it's complex, but in the end of the day, what we are looking is for the max rewards in the safest environment as possible, you know. So I guess it's positive. We are going towards the positive ecosystem and to building something that is not only bringing the rewards to the users, but also in a safe and in a strategic way.
Awesome. Yeah, that's very, very, very important points when it comes to restaking. One of them being slashing. I think slashing is very important and should be pretty much the most important thing that restaking platforms should research and put their efforts in now, because it's the biggest flaw, it's the biggest blocker right now that, in my opinion, is affecting the restaking ecosystem. We at Nectar are working very hard to tackle this kind of issues that the current restaking platforms are having. Yeah, very, very interesting stuff. Yeah, thank you very much. This one will go to Max. So as far as I know, Everclear uses a modular architecture that includes an AVS. Can you explain to us how it is designed and what is the purpose of the AVS that is built on Everclear?
Yeah, I like that the conversation is leaning towards the AVSs because we are actually the user of one of these AVSs. Everclear. So let me just give an overview of what we do, and then I'll deep dive into our architecture and how the AVSs plug into this. So our purpose, as I was saying, is to be a backbone of liquidity for the different bridges that operate across chains. The idea is that today there are several intent-based bridges that use solvers on the destination chain to execute the transactions of a user. So if a user wants to go from Optimism to Arbitrum, for example, an intent-based bridge will ask their solvers to front the liquidity to the user on Arbitrum itself, so that the user can go and do whatever they want on Arbitrum immediately. And then the bridge will give the tokens of the users on Optimism to the solver who has already executed the operation. The problem at that point is for the solver, how do we rebalance our liquidity back to Arbitrum so we can repeat the cycle? So this is where Everclear comes in. We are a service for solvers and bridges to rebalance cheaply their liquidity. How do we do it cheaply? We basically look at the different constants or wants that exist on the different chains between solvers. So if a solver has funds on Optimism and it wants to get them on Arbitrum, it is not in an urgency as a user, but it wants to look at for the cheapest option. We look for another solver that has the opposite need. So he has funds on Arbitrum and wants to get them on Optimism. And we can basically net the two operations. So we give the funds of one solver to the other one on Arbitrum, and the funds of the solver that has funds on Optimism to the other solver. In this way, we don't have to move any tokens across the different chains, across the chains. This is a process that happens already in traditional finance. It's called clearing, and that's why we define ourselves as the clearing layer. So how does this translate into the technological stack? We are effectively a layer two, a rollup built on the Orbit stack from Arbitrum. And on the rollup, basically we compute all these different netting and clearing operations to calculate where the funds need to go on the to which solver according to their preferences. Now, when at the beginning of the flow, the solver needs to deposit their funds on a specific chain where they hold them. Let's say they hold them on Arbitrum, they will deposit them on Arbitrum. And then Everclear needs to move that information, the information that the solver has deposited their funds on Arbitrum, back to the Everclear rollup. So we can aggregate all this data from all the different chains and compute where the funds need to be moved to or directed towards. So the beauty of the Everclear architecture is that it's very modular. So as a transport mechanism, we can outsource that task basically to other entities. In our case, we outsource it to Hyperlane because Hyperlane allows you to choose the best validation method for to confirm that the information that you brought from one rollup to the Everclear rollup is valid, right? Hyperlane basically is a transport mechanism that tells you, okay, I will bring you the data from chain A to chain B, and you choose how to validate that information. And so, as a validation method, we chose an AVS. So this famous implementation of Eigenlayer that allows us to say, okay, we will pay validators, people that are staking their risk-taking their ETH, in order to validate, to confirm that the data that we're bringing from chain to the Everclear rollup is valid. For us, it's a great model because one, this is easily extensible to every rollup. We bring Hyperlane to every rollup, and with that, we tell, okay, this is the AVS that we want to use, and it's immediately available for us to expand on a new chain, which is a great benefit. And number two, we can adjust the cost of our operation. Like AVS has a cost for us, of course, so we are the user that would be paying these validators. So this has a cost for us, but it has a very flexible business model, let's say flexible cost, because we can decide how much security we need, how much stake we need, depending on the volume that we're actually moving every second. So, for example, if we notice that across the different chains, solvers have deposited $1 billion across the different rollups that they want to rebalance, right? They want to net and to clear across the different chains. So in that moment, we only need only 1 billion of risk security to making sure that the data is actually valid, right? If we had less than 1 billion, it would mean that somebody could actually, it would be like economically profitable to actually rug the system, steal all the money around, and even if they got slashed and lost all the stake, they would be profitable. So we need that amount of risk stake security. But then in 5 years, it's not 1 billion. Like we noticed that there is a volume of 10 billions across the different chains that needs to be rebalanced. And so we can then increase the risk taking, the amount of risk taking, the amount of security that we buy from Eigenlayer and the AVS that we chose. to really keep the system secure, proportionally to what we need. And I think this is a very underestimated and undervalued kind of property, the ability to buy security, so to outsource the security, to buy it at demand, and to be flexible with this demand. It's very powerful because systems like Everclear or anything else that will come up from this huge innovation will be able to really adjust to their need, similar to how all the software as a service in the normal Web2 world work.
That's an incredible explanation of how an ABS is useful in the end, regarding all the controversy these past months. You touched very interesting points, such as the payouts for using risk-taking services. So let's get on the potential scenario of having to hire 10 billion of economic security. How do you face that potential scenario when it comes to paying risk takers?
Yeah, can you elaborate the question, Cutler?
Yeah, let's just say that we get to the potential scenario of having to hire 10 billion of economic security from
Yeah.
a risk-taking platform. For using that service, there's a need to pay the risk takers, and 10 billion is a lot of security that where risk takers would expect something in return. How do you face this such a big scenario, having to hire 10 billion of economic security when it comes to paying the risk takers that are actually delegating that security to you?
I mean, because it's proportional to our business as well, right? As we were saying, it scales with our business. In theory, the cost should be proportional to the amount of value that we generate at the same time, right? So if we are actually moving 10 billions every hour across the different chains, it means that there is a huge demand for this netting, and then with Everclear at some point started to charge fees for this netting. There is value that we are generating, so profit that we are generating, and part of this revenue will flow towards this ABS, and so will be distributed to the ABS system. And I think with all these Eigenlayer and the other risk-taking platforms are very interesting because they are also expanding beyond ETH. So there is actually scope for us to see, okay, which tokens can we use to reward and distribute, which token can we use to risk take, which would be implemented in our flow, I would say, right? Like the Everclear is starting with ETH and stable coins as major assets that would be cleared at the beginning, but then we can really extend it to any type of assets. And so I think it would be very fascinating to see how the negotiation, I would say, almost with these validators to say, okay, I can provide you these blue chip assets for your service versus a mix of blue chips and long tail assets, because these are the revenues that are flowing through us, and then see how that kind of demand and offer can find an equilibrium between the ABSs and our needs to secure the system.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Max. Very insightful. Okay, let's move on to another topic, and this one is about layer 2, powering layer 2 solutions. This question will go to Inception. So on your end, it's very clear that you're working with several layer 2s. What's the importance of interoperability between chains for a protocol such as yours? Why is it so important to be interoperability friendly?
So yeah, for us, we are currently in several chains such as Arbitrum, Blast, BNB, Linea, Mantle, Mode, Optimism, and now also Xlayer. Currently, we just finalized Xlayer actually a couple of weeks ago. And so the idea here is to, of course, give the best experience to the user and also lower the fees and everything, the entry fees and the entry barrier as much as possible, right? And we want to make sure that the user has all the power, right? So if the user wants to see some kind of chain or some kind of a way to bridge their assets in a way that is more transparent and faster to them, then we are going to do it, right? So for us, again, I think that it's all about the user. So if the user asks, if they have a need, we will make it happen. So it's about being fast, it's about lower the fees, it's about making sure that we are giving, again, experience that is completely transparent and as fast as cheap as possible for the user to be on the Inception ecosystem, of course.
Awesome, awesome. So as everybody knows, having a lot of layer twos, now layer threes, a lot of interoperability could result in fragmented liquidity. So this question goes to Everclear. How is Everclear helping to tackle these problems?
Yeah, I think. Thank you for the question. I think there are, you know, several approaches that the industry is taking, and then Everclear is trying to do its best to be a small, specific, and focused piece in the stack and within these solutions. Um, we see the future very extremely chain abstracted, meaning that the user should not and will not need to know where an app is deployed, where a token is actually hosted, if you want, or deployed, but they will be able to interact with any app anywhere without thinking about bridging and acquiring the gas token on destination chain. All these concepts will be completely abstracted for them. This is how we really achieve an experience similar to Web2, where when you visit the website, you don't know which server is actually used, you don't know which type of storage is actually used. It's all, you know, abstracted away from you as a user. And so in order to get there, we see ourselves as part of this chain abstraction stack that wants to ultimately reduce the fragmentation of the layer twos by creating an experience where everything feels as just one unique chain or one unique one unique smooth experience for the user. Um, how do we get there? So there are several pieces that come into place. I will recommend you guys to check the rollup. They recently published a map of the chain abstraction stack, which is very interesting. It's coming out as quite a complex environment, but there are some important elements that are really worth highlighting. One of them is our standards. So there are a few standards the industry is coming out together to really make the experience more homogeneous across the different chains. One is the XRC20 standard that Joao was mentioning for tokens. Allows token issuers to really deploy their tokens across the different chains and enable bridges to move those tokens with zero slippage in a fast and secure way. But there are other things that are coming out, like Across and Uniswap published a new proposal for standardized cross-chain intents, which is getting some adoption. The Optimism ecosystem is now adopting them. So it's really the real purpose is really to make the experience more uniform for all the infrastructure providers that want to create this chain abstracted experience. Um, Everclear, from our side, what we really want to do is to help the solvers of these intent-based systems that will be in charge of executing transactions on behalf of users really profitable. And so the way we do it is we really want to make their operations as cheap as possible. So we will lower the cost of rebalancing, and we will keep pushing for this um, chain abstraction stack, which is now I think more than 80 projects already, that each of them is working on different pieces on a specific niche to really create this smooth flow. And I think we're getting there sooner than people think. I can see a lot of criticism today around the tools and the fragmentations, but really I don't think that the the liquidity, the scalability of the stack of the infrastructure is the bottleneck anymore, right? We're now in the phase where we should encourage innovation on the app level and see what people come up with all the great stuff that we have, right? And now we have yield-bearing assets like Restaking. We have blockchains that can handle a very high throughput, so high amount or level of transactions. They're fast. And we can now move this liquidity across the different chains in a very, very, very cheap way. So if you use if there is high liquidity on a specific chain, the user can simply move it or have somebody move it for them and execute whatever swap or transaction they need, token transaction they need to have. So I think really we're getting to a moment where the experience will be so smooth that the fragmentation will not be a point of discussion anymore, because we are already in a point of fragmentation with a different layer, with the hundreds of layer ones that exist, or the layer twos that are coming up. We are getting closer to a future where there are thousands of layer twos. It's extremely easy to spin them off with all these roll up as a service providers. And so we as Everclear, we want to make sure that this liquidity feels unified for the user. It might be fragmented on a layer 2 level, but because these solvers, these professional entities that will abstract the experience on your behalf for users, will be able to do that in a very cheap way, then for the user, it will not make any difference. Like for one chain, 10,000 chains, they will not even notice. And that's where we can really, bring the experience to a mainstream level where, my mom can interact with an app just coming off Coinbase, and she doesn't have to need to think about bridges, buying gas tokens, changing the RPC on your wallet, understanding how a roll-up bridge works, all these kind of things, which is where I think we all want to go as an industry.
Yeah, I want to add here, but I agree 100%. Like I think that the chain abstraction is definitely the future, because we also saw that in Web2, right? In the early internet days, you need to know everything about what's happening in the computer. Nowadays, you just use the computer or use your smartphone without even thinking about all the processes that are going inside. So definitely, if you want to have the pure mass adoption, which is everyone talking all the time, mass adoption, you need to have chain abstraction. You need to have a process that is so smooth that your mom, your grandmother can use, and she doesn't even know what is happening in the background. So 100% agree, and I think that's definitely the future of Web3.
Yeah, I think everybody agrees that having a seamless experience when working in crypto or Web3 overall should be accessible to everybody. Shouldn't be too complex. Should be very straightforward. That is the end game of crypto. It's taken a few years to get to that point, but we are getting to a speed of development in abstraction that is insane. Nowadays, there are stuff that you are using that you don't even know you are using crypto on them, but it takes time, like everything. Like it took time in Web2 as well in the early days of internet. But we'll get there eventually. So it's pretty interesting to me to see how because I talk with a lot of projects, and many times I find this case where I'm talking with this project and they're also working with this other project that I previously talked about, because there are so many modular opportunities in the ecosystem, and this is one of those cases where I was talking with Everclear, then I was talking with Inception. Inception is using the XERC20 standard because of Everclear, and now we're in this in this three-man party where we aim to work with each other. So it's very interesting. It's very exciting to see this level of modularity get into Web3 finally. So what's your point of view on this? Like, understand that you're both working on different sides of the industry, but even though you're working on different sides of the industry, you get to work together because of the modularity. How do you see both of your protocols contributing to the multi-chain narrative? You want to go first, Joao?
Sure. Yeah, so I know already Everclear for a long time, Connext for a long time, and I do believe that the place where we can really work together here is definitely on the AVS side. On the bridge and omni-chain side, we are doing it pretty much internally now, but of course we can bounce ideas. But I would say again, and looking back to my first topic here, the conversation is, since EigenDA is live right now and Eigenlayer is now distributing rewards, like if you look at, for example, the other day I was speaking with EtherFi, and they said that what they are looking now as a strategy is looking at all the AVSs and really studying the AVS strategy and rewards. And for me, like, it's super positive that Everclear is also including these type of strategies in the roadmap, that they want to build this integrated AVS, and then this AVS, of course, will also validate, distribute rewards, etc. So I do see, of course, synergies on that sense, especially on the AVS strategies, because that is definitely where all the big protocols now on the LRT space are turning their attention to. And of course, Everclear is also turning their attention to that, and we are doing the same thing. So for me, that is, of course, one part of the solution. Another one, and again, taking back to one of other question that you guys said about Nectar and about modularity, like the way that we are seeing modularity, we are now studying something that is called, like, it's like the double TVL modularity scheme, where, for example, we have our, let's say, state ETH, and inside your state ETH, we can actually create a modular token for Nectar, like in state ETH, N for Nectar, in state ETH, E for Eigenlayer, in state ETH, S for Symbiotic. And we can, by having these specific modular tokens inside each of the pools, we can now, when anyone is interacting via Nectar, we have the double TVL scenario, where you not only are contributing for the TVL of Inception, you're also contributing for the TVL of Nectar, and etc., etc. So I do see this modularity concept as something really advanced, and I don't think that anyone is actually looking very much into this. So I would say that this can be actually the future, aligned with AVS rewards, aligned with AVS strategies, and aligned with, of course, a complete omni-chain experience and chain abstraction, of course.
Awesome. Anything to add, Max?
No, I think this was a great explanation. We are really monitoring how the whole IBS and in general risk-taking industry is evolving. Risk-taking for us has been a big catalyst for our growth, because we helped other LRTs growing across the different chains by allowing them to risk-take ETH directly on those layer twos. And in general, I think this is a powerful innovation that will spin out new businesses that hopefully will attract new crowds, new people, new innovators on chain, and this is what we all want.
Awesome. Thank you very much, guys. So yeah, just to finalize, and before hopping into a couple minutes of public questions, if anybody has, what can you guys say about what's coming next, about the roadmap? What is coming for Inception and Everclear in the next couple of weeks, couple of months, maybe years?
Maybe years. That's. I think the years is like pure chain abstraction, right? You just click a button, everything happens. So
Man, I'm a hard believer, but 2 years, 3 years in crypto is like it's a century, you know. You never know.
It is.
Maybe in 2 years restaking is nothing. Maybe we have I don't know.
Well, I think that in 2 years you are restaking in Mars probably already. Like, it's just too far away.
I was going to say, we're getting into science fiction when we talk about years in crypto.
Exactly. It's true. You are not even using your own persona anymore. You are using your hologram to stake probably. But yeah, so I will say the next big things that are coming. So we are in the process of actually finalizing our Mellow and Symbiotic vaults. We are also creating our BTC vaults there. So this is happening in a matter of literally weeks or days. Of course, our integration with Nectar, super excited about that. This is an ongoing conversation, so that is happening also very, very soon. And for us, in the next months, the narrative that we are definitely super excited and working hard is on the BTC scenario, for obvious reasons. So you have like 1 trillion worth of Bitcoin that is just stuck in wallets, not creating yield, not doing nothing. So what are we waiting for, right? So let's take this BTC that is stuck in wallets and let's create some kind of yield on top of all these BTC. So for us, that is number one priority. I would say that for September, October is definitely to finalize our integration with Babylon and Pell, and advance also with the votes for BTC in Symbiotic, and really start gathering all this liquidity on BTC and creating yields for the people that have their BTC but want to give some usage to this BTC, and then they can use it. And another thing that we are also even thinking is, why stop at BTC? Because there are also a lot of older tokens that are just stuck in wallets, not creating yields, and you can actually create LRTs on top of these tokens and give them utility. So that is a food for thought thing, but definitely some philosophical discussions that we can have in the next space about how to create more LRTs on top of dead tokens to revive them. So that is an idea that we have been thinking a lot also.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Joao. What about Everclear? What's coming in the next couple of days, weeks, months, maybe years as well?
Yes, thank you, Cosler. So Everclear is going live in the next month, which is extremely exciting for us. It's going to be the first clearing layer. We estimate that we can drastically reduce the cost of cross-chain transaction for bridges by an order of magnitude when at full scale, but certainly by a considerable percentage at launch. And so we are excited to see like how extremely cheap transactions will benefit the industry, will change the way people do cross-chain activities. It will be very interesting to watch. Um, and then at the same time, the DAO received a very interesting proposal, I think last week, to upgrade our tokenomics as well. So it was proposed a new type of bonding system, a new form of primitive, which is they called vested bonding, so similar to the VE tokenomics. This is a new way to lock and suck in liquidity of the tokens, which if the proposal is successful, will be renamed to Clear. And then with that proposal, basically the revenues of the protocol will also start to be distributed to token holders, so to people that bond the token. So I think there is also an exciting evolution on the token side. A joint with the protocol upgrade will really, I think, hopefully, ignite interest and a new wave of innovation within the cross chain and intent space in general.
Super awesome. Man, I'm bullish about the future. Super exciting news, guys. Before we wrap it up, if you guys have any question, please shoot your questions now on the space. We also have an OAT for the spaces attendees. In the meantime, I just wanted to share some alpha about Nectar as well without spilling too much the beans, because if I do, I will get whipped by the intern probably. We are launching very soon with our beta testnet just launching in a couple of days, hopefully, now for real. We are super excited to not only to launch the product, but to also get to work more hands-on experience with protocols like Inception, like Everclear, who are great use cases for Nectar, and we hope to be just as useful for them as we hope them to be for us. The future is looking very modular, but there's something that we need to keep in mind, is that not everything is going to see the light in a modular future. We see a lot of builders lately. We have a lot of L2s, L3s. In my opinion, it's a scary place where we see a lot of unneeded chains, a lot of unneeded computational power being used and being requested. So we need to be conscious about the future, and we need to be smart about the future to not collapse. I'm pretty sure that with protocols as high quality as Inception and Everclear and Nectar, we are set up for a great future in crypto.
Agreed.
Well, it seems this is a wrap. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much, Joao, Max.
Thank you, man.